Well, hey friends, and welcome back. Today, I want to share with you what's on my minimalist iPhone. I love keeping my phone simple and well organized so I can easily find everything that I need without cluttering it up with apps that I don't use. And that way, I can use my phone as a tool like it was designed to be used without overusing it. So I'm excited to share with you what apps I have as well as how I organize them to create a calm and really intentional digital space. So if you haven't already, make sure to hit that subscribe button below for more simple and intentional living videos coming at you twice a week. Let's get right into this. So first, I want to touch on briefly the phone that I use as well as my case. This is the iPhone 14 Pro Max in the color white. I got it a few months ago and so far have been loving it. The main reason that I upgraded was for the camera. I take a lot of photos and videos on my phone, so I really wanted to have something that I could carry around in my pocket that would take just incredible and beautiful images. A few months in, I have to say I have not been disappointed. And then for my case, this time I did decide to switch things up a bit. In the past, I've always just been a plain black case type of person, but I decided to go for something just a little bit different this time. This is still the classic Apple leather case, but this time I got it in the color forest green, which I feel like it's been such a fun, just little way to switch things up. It's kind of like a dark teal color in person. I've been loving it. But then of course the real reason why I got an Apple case is because I'm just obsessed with their MagSafe wallets. I just find it so convenient that it attaches to my phone. I can always have my credit card and driver's license on me without needing to worry about carrying a purse or a wallet. And again, I just opted for the forest green. I know some people like switching up the different colors, but I'm all for keeping things simple. Okay, but that's my phone itself. Hopefully that gives a bit of context as we get into this. Now let's jump to what's inside. So starting with the lock screen, I do have a bit of a customized setup here. So I've just got the date, the time, I played around a bit with the fonts for those. And then on the bottom, I do have two widgets. The first is the weather, so I can just at a glance, picking up my phone or even just glancing over at it, since this phone does actually have the thing where your screen is always on, even if you turn it off, it kind of stays on, just a bit dimmer. I have to say that took some getting used to, but I do really like it now that I've kind of adjusted mentally. But yeah, we've got the weather on the left, and then on the right I have my reminders. I find it really convenient to have them there just so they stay top of mind. But then for the rest of my lock screen, I like to keep it very minimal and calming. You'll notice that I don't have a ton of notifications come in. That's because I've turned most of them off. And then also too, I like having some piece of inspiring photography just to be able to look at and just kind of feel at peace when I see it. This photo in particular is of that Wanaka tree in New Zealand. I took this image when we were there a few months back, and I love being able to just see the pictures on my lock screen, my home screen, you'll see in a minute too, and just really be reminded of some amazing trips and memories. We came to this spot right before sunset, and I just remember in that moment, the sun was hitting the tree, the surrounding mountains in the most beautiful way. It was that soft evening light, and so just being able to look at this picture, I love being reminded of that moment. So this picture really does just bring back so many great memories for me. But overall, I really do love just being able to use some type of imagery that's going to help you feel at peace and just very calm when you're looking at your phone. But I think that's it for the lock screen. So now let's take a look at the home screen. And here you'll notice that I do have a different image, but it is very much in a similar vein. This one I took during one of the most beautiful drives we have ever done. It was as we drove around Lake Pukaki, which is the lake that you see here, as we were heading towards Mount Cook. Let me just say, if you ever get the chance, visit this place. It does not disappoint. And then also, if you wanted to use either of these images, or I took a number of other stunning pictures while I was in New Zealand for either your lock or your home screen, I will have in the description box a link where you can go ahead and download some of those images, and they should all be formatted so you can use them for your phone. Let's get into the big stuff now though and talk about how I have this organized. So first, you'll notice that I have no more than 3 rows on either of the 2 screens. I love this as an easy way to create visual simplicity. There's breathing room here, there's white space, you can take in the beautiful image in the background, and it doesn't feel like there's too much on one page. The way that I have this broken up is on the first page, I have my most used apps, the ones that I'm reaching for typically several times a day. Then on the second page, I still have my very frequently used apps, the ones that I'm using daily or at least on a weekly basis. typically. Obviously, not every week is the same. And here I've used a number of folders that I can group like apps together by kind while still keeping the overall aesthetic of the screen very simple. Now, I will say these 2 pages represent the vast majority of apps on my phone, but not all of them. Swiping once more to the right here where we have the app library, there are a handful of apps here that I do like to have downloaded on my phone, but that I don't feel the need to keep on my home screen. A good example of this is my travel app. So in here we have 5 different apps, 2 of which I currently have on my home screen, the Airbnb app and the Maps app. I use them both quite frequently. Then the Drive Safe and Save app is something that I have for our car insurance, helps us get a discount, but I don't need to access it regularly. I also have the Priority Pass app, which I only really need when I'm flying. And then the Uber app, again, I don't need that all that regularly, but it's helpful to have downloaded when I'm traveling. That's really the benchmark that I like to use. If I'm using an app less than once a month, but still a handful of times a year, it's typically when I'm going to hide it and not keep it on my home screen. But generally for apps that I use regularly, I do like to keep them on my home screen because I find that it's just easier to access them. I know where they are and it's easy to find them. Then in terms of general organization, just one more thing I want to point out before we get into the specific apps. I do want to get to those as well, just that I don't have any widgets. I've tried them in the past, they just weren't my favorite. I found that they cluttered up my home screen a lot, and generally I just found them more of a distraction than an actual aid, and I don't want to keep something on my phone just because I can. So I had them for a bit, and I since got rid of them. And personally, I really just prefer this setup. All right, let's take a bit of a deeper dive into the actual apps now though. We'll talk through what apps I have, why I have them, how I find them useful, as well as kind of why I have them placed where I do. So starting with those 4 apps on the bottom bar, I have the Apple Maps app, which I feel like everyone I know either uses Google Maps or Waze, but personally, I really like Apple Maps, so been using that for years. The phone and FaceTime apps I use for communicating with friends and family. Then I'm also a bit of an obsessive Googler, so I use that Safari app all the time. Then moving up, I have the 3 rows of apps, and each of these rows I've kind of got divided up into subgroupings. So I have 2 apps on each row that I've kind of mentally paired together. So first, the health and weather apps, I guess go under the category of like life knowledge in my head, I guess. They're just things that I like to keep tabs on. So for health, I often like to check how much sleep am I getting, how much am I walking. Obviously, I could stand to work on both my sleep and my walking, so note to self, gotta go out for a walk later and maybe get a bit of an earlier bedtime today. Then of course for the weather, I do have that general overview on my lock screen, but often I like to have a little bit more information about what the weather is going to look like in a few hours, the next few days, what temperatures are going to be, if it's going to rain. So I do like to have that, again, just very easy to access the information that I need. What did we call that last app grouping? It was like general data or general knowledge, something like that. That one's a little bit more vague, but this next one is quite specific. It's all about communication with friends and family. So I have my Messages app for being able to text friends. And also the Instagram app too is a huge way that I connect with friends on a daily basis. I love following my friends, watching their stories, chatting with them back and forth on Messages. So it is one that I guess is a social media, yes, but is also a huge way that I connect with, people I know in real life too. That being said, it is also definitely a big vehicle of creativity for me. I love being able to use it to post just amazing memories that we have, fun pictures that I've taken, videos, and other things like that. So that's our second grouping, and again, this next one is very straightforward. I just have my camera and photos apps paired together. I feel like it just kind of goes without saying how those two just pair hand in hand, but again, I like the convenience of being able to have them side by side so that if I need either, they're just in the same place, practically. Then beside those, I have my clock and calendar apps, and for me, these ones are all about time management. My clock app is where I keep all of my alarms. I just have a few of the ones that I tend to use the most regularly set here. I use the timer a lot, stopwatch, super useful app. And I also have my calendar here as well. I've got this synced up to my Google Calendar, which is what I use more so on my laptop. I just find it really nice that anything that I put on either calendar is going to naturally show up here. I do prefer this app interface better than Google Calendar, which is why I don't have that app. But I use it all the time, and ever since I got this sync to work, I had a little bit of difficulty just getting it to work. Maybe I'm just getting old or something, but now that it's working, I love it. I use this a lot. Then down here, we have the notes, reminders apps. These are like the organize my life apps. I use them both all the time. The notes app is kind of like a sticky pad on steroids for me. I have 918 apps on here, almost 1,000, that's crazy. But I really do use this just so much. I have it all grouped into folders and then subfolders within that. Keep video ideas, past videos, plans for travel, working out, just literally so many different things in here. So find this super helpful. I also use reminders a lot too for things like I have an ongoing grocery list that I share with Christopher. We also share a list of movies that we're wanting to watch, books that I want to read. I also use it for just general reminders as well, like trying to drink more water, which is a goal of mine for this year. And then also too, to remember to water my plants, and that's a weekly reminder that I have set. Now, the last two apps on this page I would consider to be kind of the work-related apps that I keep on here. I have Gmail for email management, and I also use Slack a lot as well for communicating with my team. They're pretty straightforward. I don't feel like we need to dive into those too much. But then on the second page, I have a couple of loose apps, then everything else is grouped into folders. The two loose apps that I have here are the Amazon Alexa app, which I use quite frequently because we have a bunch of smart home technology kind of integrated throughout our house. It's really nice to have that just to be able to manage all of that. Then also the calculator, because I'm not great at mental math or really math period. So when in doubt, I'm just always going to use a calculator. Then for everything else, I've just got it grouped into a number of different folders. There are 6 folders here, all organized by kind. I guess really the only stylistic thing I should note with these is for all of them, I've kind of got it written out, so it's all lowercase, there's a space between each one. I just feel like that's a little bit more aesthetic. I like it personally, it's definitely not required, but it's just a way to kind of make things a bit more fun for me. But yeah, we've got 6 folders. We've got finance, utilities, a miscellaneous folder, media, social, and photo. So let's jump into the finance folder first. I have the wallet, which I use to store my digital cards, the PNC, which is our banking app, Capital One, which is our credit card, and then Venmo. These are all just very practical apps, but I like having them easy to access. So you've got them all grouped into a folder. But then moving over one, I also have my utilities folder. Again, these are very practical apps. These are either ones that you can't delete or I just kind of consider a bit maintenance related in some way. So I have the Find My iPhone app, the App Store settings, contacts, voice memos. Those are all, again, very practical apps that I use quite frequently. And then Drive To is a bit more of a recent addition, but I find that people are always sending me Google Drive links. I wanted an easy way to be able to access, to open them, or to find things that I needed to be able to send over my phone, not have to get out my laptop. So I added that app recently and I've been finding it really helpful. Okay, but now let's talk about this bottom row of folders. And this is where things start to get a bit more fun. In my miscellaneous folder, there are a few shopping apps. So I have Amazon, Target, Etsy. Amazon and Target I use to buy a lot of household essentials. I'll order groceries or just things that we need. Then the Etsy app is a bit more of a fun one. I love supporting different makers and finding just more interesting and unique, either handmade or vintage items. So I find that I often love just being able to search on here for different things that we need for our home or even for my wardrobe. I also have the Newly Rent app, which is the clothing rental service that I use. So you can look over here and see these are the items that I've rented for the month. This was a really good month for me. I've loved and been wearing a ton of all of the items that I got. So love having that. Got the Life Church app. That's the church that we attend. So got to have their app. We've been going through a 2-year Bible reading plan as a church, and that's all hosted on the app here. So I've been accessing that quite frequently. I also have the Airbnb app because we have a few trips that we're currently planning. Sleeper app. Here's my little nerd whatever. I'm a nerd, let's just be honest. I play fantasy football and this app is a fantasy football app. And now you know my deepest, darkest secret. Not really, but I find it fun. That's what the app's on there for. Okay, fantasy football aside, I also have the Flow app, which is how I track my period. And then Freeform is kind of like a creative drawing slash, I don't even know exactly how to call it, app, but I find it fun to play with, and currently I'm designing my dream house on there. So again, I feel like you're just learning a lot of random things about me, about our church, fantasy football, the fact that I'm designing a house for fun. You're learning all about me here. Okay, but that's the miscellaneous folder, and as you can tell, it's really miscellaneous. There really isn't a category for this one. It hence the name. This next one is a lot more defined though. This is the media app. So on here I have the ESV Bible app, which is my favorite Bible app. It's very just clean, easy to find everything that you're looking for. Then I also have Audible. I listen to a lot of audiobooks, so that's always helpful to have. Podcasts, same thing. Spotify, I have been listening to a lot more music, so love having that. Then for the music app, I probably wouldn't need to have it on here, except for the fact that I have all of the Harry Potter audiobooks on there, and I listen to those about once a year. So again, just another random fact that you're learning about me. Love me some Harry Potter, but yeah, I have that app literally just so I can listen to Harry Potter. But that's the media folder. Then my social folder is where I keep all of the social media that aren't Instagram. So here I have YouTube Studio, which is kind of like the back-end analytics side of YouTube, which obviously I create a lot of videos, so it's helpful to have. I have Pinterest. I love just coming on here to find some amazing visual inspiration. As you can tell right now, I'm currently planning a little bedroom makeover, so lots of inspiration along those lines. Oh, I love this. Okay, we'll come back to that later. I also have Facebook, Messenger. Messenger I use for keeping up with. I have a few friends that don't live in the States, actually, and a few family members too. So it's really helpful to have Messenger because we can communicate without needing to pay for, texting someone in another country. I also have GroupMe, use that for just kind of communicating with groups of friends, so much easier than a group text message, especially if people have Androids. Twitter is one where I don't post a lot, but I do like keeping up with current events on there. And then BeReal is one that I use with a lot of my friends, and it's just a way that I can keep up with some of the people that I'm closest to. And that's it for social media. I'm really not a TikTok person. I think I have the app. Yeah, I do have it somewhere in my library, but I really only use it to open up links that other people send me. I just can't get into it, which is fine. I'm not going to force myself to like it. Okay, but then my last folder is my photos folder, and this is where I store any apps that are related to editing pictures or videos that I've taken on my phone. So first, I have the Lightroom mobile app. This is where I edit all of my pictures. I love just how powerful of an editor this is. You can see here is the after, that's the before of an image. I have a variety of different presets on here that I can use to kind of tweak an image exactly to my liking. So you can play with so many things on here. It's a lot of fun, and honestly, I really enjoy doing this. That's Lightroom. I also have Unfold, which is what I use to create kind of beautiful stories, or I don't really use it for posts, but I do use it for stories on Instagram quite a bit. Probably my favorite thing on here is that they have a number of different templates that you can use to have kind of a bit of a film effect on your images. So I love being able to put that behind an image or a video, and it just gives it a really cool kind of vintagey feel. So that's Unfold, and then the last one that I have on here is InShot. This is what I primarily will edit videos with, but I'll also use it for certain collages and things like that. It's very comprehensive, and I find it's that perfect balance of being very easy to use on mobile while still having all of the features that I like from a kind of a more sophisticated editing software like I would typically have available to me on my laptop. So if you do a lot of video, highly recommend this one. I think it's like $15 a year. For me, totally worth it. All right, well, that's the end of our little iPhone tour. We made it to the end. I really hope that this gives you just a little insight into what I keep on my phone, how I organize it, and kind of why as well. I really hope that it inspires and motivates you to organize or to simplify your digital space in some way. And that in simplifying, you can begin using your phone more intentionally. So I hope that this was helpful for you, and if it was, I would love to hear from you in the comments. What's one small change that you're wanting to make to your phone setup to simplify in light of this? I would love to hear from you, so be sure to let me know. And as always, don't forget to give this video a like if you enjoyed it, and subscribe if you haven't already. Until next time, friends, I am wishing you all an incredible day. I'll see you in the next one.